Rental prices in Southwest Florida increased dramatically after Hurricane Ian. That is the topic of today's video. I've put together a beautiful video for you guys, but before that, let's go on a road tour real quick and exactly show you what we're talking about. Alright guys, we're going to start off in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Florida, which is about 100 miles north of Southwest Florida. And you can see that in this area, for $3,000, you can rent a beautiful 3-2 in a beautiful suburban area, close to Publix's, restaurants, shopping. You can tell just by the satellite imagery that everything out here in this Lakewood Ranch area is beautiful and clean. You can see here that you can get a home for $2,700. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. Pets are okay. These homes have pools. They're beautiful. So we can assume that you can get a beautiful home in the Lakewood Ranch area, right outside of Sarasota and Bradenton, right outside of Sarasota. You can even see small apartment complexes where you can find apartments for about $2,000 near shopping malls and everything you would need. Now, let's compare that to what's going on in Southwest Florida. Destroyed by a hurricane. These are the houses that are left over. You can see here that you can rent a 5-bedroom house for $48,000 a month, or a 4-bedroom house for $30,000 a month overlooking a cemetery. This area had about a 10-foot storm surge. However, you can buy a house, rent a house that was recently flooded for $15,000 a month. Prices in Naples were ridiculous before Hurricane Ian, but you had beautiful beaches. However, most of the beaches from Naples all the way to like Fort Myers are completely destroyed, so it's questionable why would rents be so high, and the explanation is the following. All those houses that are destroyed, the owners want to come down and inspect their properties and watch as their homes are being rebuilt, which means that the people who actually own these properties are coming into Naples to check on their investments. And they are going to do that in style, no matter how much it costs, because they can afford it. If you guys saw my Naples video recently, you saw how many private jets were landing in Naples. That's why me and Katie decided to move to the Sarasota area, because even though this is a rich, fancy area with incredible beaches, we're close to Sarasota, we're close to Tampa, there's a lot of good restaurants. In fact, there's probably better restaurants in the Sarasota, Bradenton area than there are in Naples. There's probably equivalent or better beaches here as well, even though it's about the same really. I mean, there's wealth here, there's wealth in Naples. It's all about the same comparatively. Not only do the owners of these properties need to be down there now with limited inventories and so many homes were destroyed, but now you also have the snowbirds that are going to go down there no matter what. And then you also have snowbirds that are coming down for what's like hurricane damage tourism, to see the destruction as if it were some type of entertainment or attraction, believe it or not. So now you have a situation where rents are actually going through the roof on whatever properties are left. $30,000, $40,000 might be a lot of money for me or for you, but keep in mind that flying a private jet into Naples, that's what it costs to do that. So it's not like that's the kind of money that these people are lacking. Maybe me or you would be like, oh my gosh, paying $40,000 a month for rental, that's insane. But for some of these people, it's not really unobtainable. That's why Katie and I just came all the way up here to Sarasota, because I knew, like, right after Hurricane Ian, we moved because I could perceive what was about to happen with rental properties. And I said, let me just get the crap out of here and move somewhere more affordable so that I'm not stuck in this situation that a lot of the local residents are going to be stuck in. Now, many of the people who are renting properties in Southwest Florida, those rental companies have other places they can put them in, and that's been happening for a lot of people, thankfully. However, if you bought a house in Southwest Florida or a condo and there's damages, you may have $80,000 or $100,000 in damages. Nobody's going to come rescue you. FEMA's not going to come rescue you. Nobody's going to come rescue you because it's your own private investment. And if you have an investment and it gets destroyed, that's pretty much on you. That's why when me and Katie moved back to Southwest Florida from Alabama, we didn't buy real estate. We rented because we said, yeah, we can buy a property, but what about the liability? If something happens, we can't afford to rebuild. And now we see that renting was really the best thing we could have did because it didn't really expose us to any liability. But now the people of Southwest Florida, the people that are coming here to work as well from other parts of the country, they're finding that renting a house in a place like Cape Coral that was $3,000 before the hurricane, the going rate for that same property now is something like $6,000 a month. Now, there's a YouTuber out of Austin, Texas, who made a video saying that real estate prices in the Fort Myers area was going to drop by 50% due to the hurricane, and that now Southwest Florida housing bubble had finally burst because of the hurricane. I immediately called him out for doing that, and this guy's got a bunch of investors and money behind him because his channel's so big. Turns out that prices actually did the complete opposite. Now, I didn't say prices were going to double, but I said for sure they're not going to go down. They're probably more likely than anything going to go up a little bit. And most people in Southwest Florida knew that, including myself. That's why right after the hurricane, like a week or two after the hurricane, we immediately moved up here to Sarasota because I suspected that rents down there were going to get extraordinarily difficult and competitive. I have been warning my subscribers about this guy's channel for a long time. Now he drops a video saying he's quitting YouTube because he's starting some type of scam type website or something, which a lot of these YouTubers that start making these real estate whatever videos, eventually they actually do that. They get out of, the YouTube because they fumble it so bad. Then they get into some other type of website, but they use their fan base from YouTube to run off on some other platform. Thousands of people listen to these people's YouTube channels, get horrible information, and then they make financial decisions based on something they heard a guy say on YouTube. I've never presented myself as a college educated person or a specialist. I'm a guy that tells you who I am. I'm a high school dropout, but I know my area. I know my Southwest Florida. I keep it honest with you guys about a lot of things, even telling you guys how much money I make, which a lot of YouTubers won't do that. And every time I do it, I get so much backlash from people. I see my donations dry up because people think it's too much money, but I've worked for this and I've earned it. And you see guys with much bigger channels, they'll make a video saying something as ridiculous as Southwest Florida real estate is going to drop 50% because of the hurricane, and prices actually go up after the hurricane. All those people that were listening to this dude might have dropped properties, dropped investments based off information that was completely, unbelievable. And now the guy says he's quitting YouTube because he fumbled it so bad. You know what I mean? So that's the type of information you're getting from other people. And again, I don't present myself as some knowledgeable expert. I let you guys know I'm a high school dropout, and everything that I say is my personal opinion, but at least it's genuine. And I'm not going to give you an exact number on what I make, but if you just watch my videos, there's definitely very subtle clues of where we are. I just wish some of you guys knew how much these guys are making and how bad of a job they're doing. Like, if I was making those types of numbers on YouTube, my channel would be like the greatest thing in the world. But at the end of the day, that's the type of shady people you're getting. Just because you give somebody a huge audience, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to go full-hearted or that they're not a complete scumbag who's going to mislead their audience. Some of these YouTube clowns have actually copied my channel, and if you go on their channel and you see the content that they're uploading, they'll touch like the same narrative as my channel, which lets you know they're literally ripping off my video content. In fact, one of these dudes even copied my video to the same exact degree that I noticed it, and I was like, wow, this is foul. And 3 people sent me messages saying, Jose, did you see what this guy did? He's literally copying your video ideas. And I'm like, yeah, I noticed it already. These guys are complete clowns, but they don't have any original content. They have to steal other people's ideas. Look, when I first started off, there was Charlie Boo, there was Nick Johnson, The Word According to Briggs, but like, I formed my own identity, and I look at those channels because I like their content now, but I don't look at those channels to try to be like them. In fact, there's times where I look at their videos and I actually wish they did it differently. Not to say this to brag, but the damage that you're looking at now was the aftermath. I actually did a video right in this mobile home park and in this boat dock like a week before the hurricane. I actually did live streams on Fort Myers Beach Pier a week before the hurricane. Like, I saw the hurricane out there and I started to do videos in Fort Myers Beach and in San Carlos Island, and this just happened to be the area that got hit the worst. I also made a video right before, like a day or two before the hurricane, saying I have a feeling this is going to be a Hurricane Charlie. And what I meant by that was that Hurricane Charlie was said to hit north of Tampa, and it ended up going in through Punta Gorda, which is exactly what Ian did. So I'm not going to sit here and brag about my predictions being right, because I don't present my information as predictions. I just present it as my opinion. But when you look at this hurricane, on how accurately I have been giving you guys the information versus what other people have been doing. But look, when I've made a mistake, and I've made mistakes on YouTube, I apologize to my audience. I let my audience know, hey, I made a mistake. Like when I moved to Alabama and it didn't work out, I told you guys, hey, I made a mistake. This was a horrible decision. And I let you guys know, and I've been warning people not only in English, but I actually made another channel in Spanish where I've been warning Spanish-speaking people about what happens to you when you move to Alabama. That video already has 300,000 views as of today. So when I make a mistake, I admit it and I apologize to my audience. And in fact, on that channel, if you go through the comments on that video, there's people saying that, oh, I changed my mind. When I admitted that I made a mistake. But a lot of these YouTubers, when they fumble it, instead of apologizing to their audience and saying, hey, I was wrong, I should have never said that, they go on there and say, I'm going to take a break for a few months off of YouTube, because now they know that the heat is on them for their stupid decision of, putting out information that was completely not the way things worked out. But when something does work out in their favor, then they're rubbing that in your face. Unfortunately, I was right about Ian being exactly like Hurricane Charlie, and I'm not bragging about that, but my experience regarding Southwest Florida kind of gave me the idea to do videos in these mobile home parks like the week before the hurricane, because I kind of knew that this was going to happen. Not because I knew it, but just because the experience that I have gained over the years and my understanding of how the weather, climate, and everything works here in Southwest Florida gave me that inclination. So I didn't make a bold statement beforehand. I just presented it as my opinion. But today, people's egos are so big that they want to make these wild claims. And then when they make a mistake and fumble it, instead of apologizing to their audience, I'm going to take a break from YouTube. You know what? I didn't take a break from YouTube when I left Alabama. You guys got to see me experience the consequences of my mistake, and I've learned from it. And a lot of you guys have been able to learn from my mistakes as well. I've been warning people about the housing situation in Southwest Florida for so long now, and I've been telling poor people to leave and find places that are more affordable, where they have more opportunities. And I've been helping people with this situation before the hurricane, and I've seen probably 100 people tell me, thank you, Jose, for warning me. When you make these real estate predictions that are bold, you might get a lot of attention right now, but when those predictions are wrong, you look like a complete idiot. So if you're going to get real estate information about Southwest Florida, at least know that if it's coming from me or from somebody else who's down here, who knows the market down here, then good. But don't get your information about what's happening in Southwest Florida from a guy that lives in Texas who links up with another YouTuber from Florida. Both of them are some scummy type individuals who are just pretty much predatory type YouTubers, just trying to get the views and the clickbait now. But when you look at their consistency, they're not really helping their audience, they're hurting them. So unfortunately, I know a lot of misinformation was placed out there, and a lot of just wacky behavior from other YouTubers took place. But this is the real situation, despite the fact that people predicted the complete opposite for who knows what reason. The reality is we got red tide down here, the beaches are destroyed, and the people that own this real estate are down here trying to get their properties back in place. That means that access to contractors is difficult. access to real estate that's available is even more difficult. And the real life situation for the working class people of Southwest Florida looks more dim than it's ever looked before. And the only person who's kind of been trying to talk some sense into you about this has been Jose. Southwest Florida is a playground for the millionaires. And for them to snatch up a $7 or $10 million property is nothing to them. For them to pay $40,000 to stay here for a month is nothing to them. But for me and you, normal working class people, if we're gonna be here, they're gonna be competing for housing. They're gonna be competing for services that you need as well. How is a normal person in North Fort Myers or in the city of Fort Myers who has a $200,000 house going to be able to compete with these millionaires to get a hold of contractors, to get a hold of roofers? You're not going to be able, because the entire labor force is now working for the elite who are paying more than you can afford to pay. I've been telling you guys about the situation for a long time, and I hope you were listening. The rich people, they want to buy you out. There's people right now that are happy that you're in this situation because they want to buy your house. They want you to lose your property. They want you to go into foreclosure. They want you to be in economical straits. One, so they can buy your property from you, and then they can turn it into one of these expensive rentals. And two, so that they can use you. Not only are you sheep, but now you're also desperate. And the people from other states that usually are part of the response teams, they haven't came to Southwest Florida. Don't you guys, if you've noticed that when there's a disaster in Alabama, Texas, Louisiana, South Carolina, all these Cajun armies and all these people go out there and all help each other and rebuild. They're not doing that with Southwest Florida because they know that there's a system in place here to kind of milk the working class for the cheapest prices they can get. And they can wait this out. You think a guy in Fort Myers Beach can't wait this out? Oh, they can weigh it out because that's their second, third, fourth, or fifth, or 100th home. They can weigh it out. They can wait. But you in North Fort Myers, you can't wait it out. You don't have a place to live. You got mold growing inside your walls. You don't have furniture. I seen people in Fort Myers, the only thing left inside their house is a mattress on the floor for 4 people, including kids, man. Those people, they can't weigh it out. But the people in Fort Myers Beach, they said it. The mayor of Fort Myers, he made a statement. He said, whoa. We're not going to put in infrastructure. We're not going to change the layout. We're not going to change the grid pattern. We're going to rebuild exactly what we had here before. And if it gets hit by another hurricane, we'll rebuild it again. Because he doesn't care about future generations. They don't care about putting in infrastructure. They don't care about putting up palm trees and other barriers like they have on the East Coast. They're not going to do none of that. The mayor of Fort Myers Beach said they're going to rebuild exactly what they had before. It's their island, and that's the way they want it. They're going to preserve it the way it was. These people are not going to fold or bend for anybody. That means that the working class people, my heart goes out to those people in the city of Fort Myers, North Fort Myers, Grove City, Englewood. These are just regular people. And now you're not even going to be able to get a contractor to work on your house because they're all busy working for the rich people. You're not going to be able to get a roof replaced on your house because all the roofers are working for the rich people. If you as much as need a plumber or an electrician right now in Southwest Florida, you better pick up a book and learn how to do it yourself because you're not even going to find that. I've had people that haven't called me in years. My phone rings and it's a guy that I haven't talked to in 4 to 5 years calling me like, Jose, do you know a plumber? Jose, do you know an electrician? I have a water heater leaking, or I have an electrical problem in my house and I can't find anybody. I'm like, yo, I don't know anybody. And the people that I know are all super busy. So now the labor force that is in Southwest Florida is pretty much exclusively working for the rich people, which means that the regular people can't even get services. That is exactly why I left Southwest Florida, because I know that I'm living in a rental down there right now in Fort Myers. And if my water heater were to break Where the crap are you gonna find a plumber right now in Southwest Florida? It's those little inconveniences that made me open up my mind and say, let's just move somewhere else in Florida that's a little bit further inland and where like things are normal, because like for the next year or two, you're not gonna be able to find an electrician. You're not, if you're like living in a rental property, like now if you're in a big complex, it's different because they have their own maintenance workers, they have their own people. But if you're just like a regular person in Fort Myers and all of a sudden your water heater breaks right now, where the crap are you gonna find even a water heater? Where are you gonna find a plumber or an electrician? You're not gonna find any of that. And those are the types of inconveniences that led me to decide, let me just move the crap out of here because I can perceive what's coming. If you see the way that I move with my personal life, when I left Naples, I had a property that was paid off, but it was a mobile home 2 miles from the beach. 2 times the storm surge came right to the edge of my door. With Hurricane Irma, the water line from the storm surge came to my doorstep. I'm not even kidding you, half an inch from going inside of my house. When I built my house in Naples, that mobile home, I actually built it to where if a storm surge came into the house, I could easily rip out the whole bottom layer. That's the way I laid the sheets of drywall. The insulation even, I put it from the top to the bottom instead from the bottom to the top. So if that house flooded someday, it would be easy to tear it out. So I was like, eventually, this is a time bomb. Guys, I owned a piece of real estate 2 miles from the beach in Naples. And I sold it because I told myself, this is eventually a time bomb. Eventually that storm surge, which I saw it 2 times come right to the edge of my door. Twice I saw the storm surge come that close to my house. And I said, one day we're not gonna be as lucky. And again, I went back to my street where I used to live on. And with this hurricane, the water level from storm surge came right to the same place it always does. It's a matter of time before that property that I owned in Naples was gonna be like what happened here. Look at that. Like the storm surge was above. Look at the garbage is on top of those bricks. Freaking 4, 5, 6 feet of water went inside of these properties at least. I perceived that I needed to sell that property in Naples because I knew it was a ticking time bomb. After being down there for 20 some years, every time a storm surge came up, I would see it come right to my doorstep, and I knew it was a time bomb and I had to drop that property. It took 2 years to sell that property because other investors knew that it's a really high risk investment. People like me and you can't do that. Now, people that are buying $10 million houses, they'll buy a house for $10 million. It'll get hit by a hurricane. Oh no, it got hit by a hurricane. And then they'll fix it with $500,000. They'll sell it for $13 million. They'll still make $3 million on it. But if it's a regular person like me and you, and we go through the same situation, we lose everything we got. And this is what I've been trying to tell people in Southwest Florida, and why I've repeatedly told people on this channel that Southwest Florida is not for poor people. And if you're going to be down here, don't buy real estate, rent it. It's been a reoccurring theme on my channel for a reason, because I care about you. Now, I might make statements on my channel that might make you think I don't care about people. Like, I'm not going to help people with hurricane cleanup. You know, I make comments like that because it is a platform where you have to be some type of sensationalism. But at the end of the day, how long have I been like pushing this theme on you guys of, if you're a poor person, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose everything in Southwest Florida. But the rich people, right now, they're going to snatch up properties. The property they bought for $7 million, they're going to sell it for $10 million. The piece of land in Fort Myers Beach that got washed away, they're going to build a bigger house there. And now that house will be worth more than it was before. They don't take losses. The rich people in these circumstances, they're not taking losses. That's why they'll pay $40,000 to rent a house for a few months, because they're going to make $4 million on it. The crap do they care about $40,000? They're making $4 million. And this is how Southwest Florida works. And I hope that if you're a normal working class person, you listen to what I got to tell you. I love all you guys. Fort Myers, I know what you're going through. I've lived it myself, seen people that I love go through it. I don't want to get too detailed about, what I've been through with my people, but I've seen stuff that's broken my heart for people that I care about. So this situation has definitely been close to me, and I hope that at least you're getting the understanding of why I've been telling you guys. If you're just a regular working class person, I don't know what these rich people are gonna do because people are starting to catch on to the idea that this doesn't function. I saw a post on a Facebook group from North Florida where they said, hey, the people from Southwest Florida are coming up here trying to recruit workers. And it was on Facebook. And there was like a warning telling people, don't go down there. The rents are high. The restaurants aren't open. They're gonna, like, everything's really expensive. Like, basically, they're warning people not to be fooled, because the people from down here, they're going to like other parts of North Florida trying to convince workers to come down here. This was already going on before the hurricane. I met people from Dallas, Texas that were working in the Southwest Florida area, and they told me that they were promised that they were going to get paid more, but they didn't realize that hotels would be 3 times as much here. They didn't realize like the cost of living was higher, and that, you know, they were promised a lot, but when they came down here and started working, they realized that they were kind of fooled into coming down here. So in other parts of the South, like, you know, Alabama, Louisiana, North Florida, if you go on their Facebook groups, the local people they're warning you, saying, hey, don't go to Florida to help with the cleanup. You know, the hotels are expensive. There's nowhere to stay. The people don't pay you. The contractors are, like, they're warning people not to come here. And I've actually met people here. Like, I met one dude who came to work down here, and he actually left because when he came down here with equipment, people ready to work and clean up, the county was like, hold on, like, we're not going to validate your license to work down here. So people actually came, you know, legally, like contractors from other states, hoping that they could get part of a slice of the pie, and they were like, no, we don't want you here. So this down here is a filthy, dirty game that's already rigged up to benefit certain people. And if you're not part of their circle, you're not going to get a piece of that pie. And right now, I don't know what's going to happen, because there's so many working class people. Like, if you tell the people in Alabama or North Florida, hey, don't work for these people, they're going to burn you, nobody will show up for that company. Like, literally, I had my buddy up there who was a mayor of a city, and they were going to put a plant. It was like Hyundai or some other big company was going to put a plant in that city. And he told the mayor of the city said, if you're not going to pay my workers more than like $16 an hour, you're not going to open the plant. And they weren't able to open it because they don't let their people get hurt like that. But down here in Southwest Florida, if you tell people, hey, you know, these people aren't going to pay you, or, you know, this doesn't work, they'll still go work for nothing, and they'll still risk getting burned, because there's always somebody that's willing to, like, let other people exploit them in the workplace. And as long as there's people that are willing to be suckered into these jobs that don't pay enough, and they're getting ripped off. I mean, like, they're working like animals, and it's not even enough to pay a rent. So now you got 8 people living in one house. So, like, that doesn't happen in North Florida. That doesn't happen in Alabama. The people there, they don't let themselves be used like that. And they all work as a community to ensure that nobody is able to exploit them. And I saw this firsthand living in Alabama, how the people there are not going to put up with that garbage. But here in Southwest Florida, for some reason, you can tell somebody, hey, bro, don't do this. It doesn't pay enough. But there's always somebody that'll go and work 60, 80 hours a week so they can live down here working like animals, paycheck to paycheck. And they don't listen to the warnings when you tell them, hey, you know, they don't want to, for some reason, they'll let these rich people exploit them, like back to back. Let's say you have a junk removal service right now. Somebody might call me and say, Jose, I got to get this garbage out of my house because I got no, you know, it's in the way or whatever. Well, if a rich person were to call you, they'd be like, hey, I got this garbage, how much are you going to do it for? And you tell them 400, like, no, I got somebody to do it for 300. So now you got to tell them, well, I'll do it for 280, you know? And if they don't find somebody, then they'll wait a few months. But the poor people, they can't wait for their roof. They can't wait. They're living in these houses, man. Like I said, I've seen people in Fort Myers with kids living in a house where all they got is a mattress on the floor. And you can see it because they gutted the whole house and the door's open, and you can see the only thing left inside the house is a mattress. And you got kids running around. You connect the dots. You're like, wow, these people are living like that. So there's some real situations for the working class people of Southwest Florida, and I don't know how long and how stupid the poor working class is going to be in Southwest Florida. Open your eyes, man. Don't let these rich people exploit you, man. They're paying $40,000 to fly a freaking private jet. They're paying $50,000 to stay at a beach house for a month. And then they want to give you ask for a discount for $20 on your hard work and sweat. But there's always somebody in Southwest Florida that's willing to let these rich people do them over. So now the working class, the normal people of Southwest Florida are really seeing a messed up situation that they created themselves, because that situation wouldn't happen in Alabama because they got that part of life figured out up there. So now the working class have a real freaking situation, and now the rich people are like, oh, now we can really go off on them. Now we can buy their properties. Now they're going to work, instead of working 40 hours a week, now they're going to work 60 and 70 hours a week. So instead of helping the poor people, they're taking advantage of the poor people. And unfortunately, that's the vast majority. Are there rich people right now in Fort Myers Beach and Captiva and Naples that are giving a poor person a $100,000 check? There are. Are there people right now that are giving people $15,000 tips? There are. Are people going to restaurants and giving a waitress a $1,000 tip? They are. I'm not saying that all the rich people are like that, bro. That's not what I'm saying. Because I've seen already, between people that I know, stories that I've heard, and a few articles in the news where people will go into a restaurant and they'll give a waitress a $1,000 tip. People will give somebody a $10,000 tip after a job. People will give somebody a $25,000 check. Those stories are out there and they're happening, and that's good. But you have to understand that there's also another element to this situation, and it's the people that they're looking at it like, I got $20 million in Southwest Florida, and by the time this is all done and over, I'm going to have $30 million. I'm going to double my money in this little situation. And they're going to double it on the backs of the people that before Hurricane Ian were working 40 hours a week. Now they're working 60 and 70 hours a week. You get what I'm saying? Or people that worked their whole lives to buy a little piece of real estate, and now they're going to lose it to a foreclosure because the HOA is going to get on them about fixing it, and they don't have $100,000 to fix it. And if they had $100,000, they couldn't find a contractor to do the work because all the contractors are working on the $20 million houses. You understand what I'm saying? As long as the working class people of Southwest Florida are content with kissing the toilet bowls of the rich people and cleaning their toilet bowls, we're going to have this situation in Southwest Florida. And I go back to Southwest Florida and I talk to people and I'm like, hey, yo, I'm living over here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that, man. You can do this too. You can move to another state and start a business. You can try to do something with your life. And their answer is always the same. I got a place to live. For how long? Because like I said, it's a time bomb for a lot of people. And for a lot of people, that time bomb is exploded. And what it means is now, instead of working 40 hours a week to live in a nice little place in the ghetto, now you're going to work 80 hours a week to live in the ghetto without drywall, insulation, and appliances and furniture, bro. It aggravates me because I can feel the pain of all those thousands of people that are going through that. But if you want to superb yourself, you want to surpass those situations, you got to be able to do what I've been doing, which is move to Alabama. It didn't work out. Move back to a freaking duplex in Lehigh. When I saw I get hit by a hurricane, then I hopped on the Sarasota. You got to keep moving. I've lost money. I've lost a crap load of money. But I gained more. I gained experience. And you have to be able to be more of an entrepreneur and to take those risks, because at the end of the day, you're going to be working for somebody else, coming home to a house that's moldy. Look, my lungs hurt right now. I'm not even down there full time. Just going down there to work, I got crap in my lungs. I can't even breathe. Imagine the people that are down there full time, bro. You got to open up your eyes. Luckily, the rents in places like Lehigh Acres didn't go up. The rents went up along the coast for the rich people. But now the traffic lines are going to be longer. You got all this equipment. You know, that's going to be another complication as well. All those things combined are just kind of reasons why I left, because I can perceive what's coming and I don't want to be part of it. But I hope that the people that are left in Southwest Florida that are not rich can kind of finally maybe open up their eyes and say, let me hop on over to Melbourne, let me hop on over to Ocala, let me explore something different. You know what I mean? And let me just see if there's something better out there for me, because this ain't working. And you might fail like I failed. I think me going to Alabama and then running back over here kind of scared a lot of people, because then they were like, yo, look at Jose, he did it, and it didn't work out for him. But let me tell you, it did work out for me. It worked out for me well, because now I'm not afraid. And now, whether I'm in Naples or Sarasota or Fort Myers or wherever life takes me, the difference is that now nobody's going to exploit me, because I've figured out that I can move around and I can maneuver my situation. But man, if you're stuck in Fort Myers and all you know how to do is drywall for $20 an hour, bro, that's all you're going to get out of life. Like, you're going to have to risk something. And sometimes people tell me, well, I got kids, I can't do it. And then I'm like, yo, all the more reason to do it. You know what I mean? Like, that's the reason you should be doing it. It's disappointing, bro. But, like, not everybody has, like, the willpower to say, okay, this ain't going to happen to me. Because I've been doing this since I was 16 years old. Actually, 14 years old. You know, if you've heard some of my workplace experiences, you know that I've been going through these situations since I was like 14 years old, and my eyes opened up. I was like, yo, I can't keep being used by these people. And there are people out there that are good. I'm not saying all rich people are like that, but like right now, if you're in a condominium complex and your condominium is destroyed and the HOA says, hey, you got 9 months to figure this out, or you got a year to figure this out, you're going to go into foreclosure. And it's more likely that a developer is going to buy your condo for pennies on the dime of what it's worth than for a rich person to give you a check to help you rebuild it. I mean, more likely than not, those great people are out there. Believe me, they're out there. There's people right now that are writing $15,000 checks to help somebody. I know they're out there. $20,000, $100,000 checks. But those are like the 1% of people. The 99%, more likely than not, is you're going to have to sell your house for a fraction of what it's worth if it's going to go into foreclosure. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that there aren't good people out there. I'm just saying that like the odds are really stacked against you. You're more likely going to end up in a foreclosure than you are with somebody writing you a check to help you out. The rich are going to get richer, and the poor are going to lose the few things they have. And when I say poor in Southwest Florida, I mean people with a net worth of less than $200,000. Because if you can't even buy real estate, you're pretty much nobody down there. My heart aches for these people that are going through this situation. And more than anything, I feel a lot of frustration because it's a really dirty game that's being played right now. And if I had $10 million, I'd be playing it too. I'm not saying I wouldn't be playing it. Like, I figured that part out already. Like, if I had $10 million right now, I would be playing that game. You know what I mean? If I had a plumber come work for me or an electrician come work for me, I wouldn't be ripping them off. I wouldn't be exploiting them. You know what I mean? And if I had a guy that did drywall and his house was like that with kids in the house, I would make sure that they had that first. And I've already heard a few touching stories. I don't want to put out people's, charity work out there in the public, but I've heard a few stories that have touched me. Because I know, like, with Hurricane Irma, this rich dude, really well-off dude, man. This dude's really, he's got a lot of money. And he actually came to the hood where he has, like, slumlord-type properties that are just not worth anything. And he loaded us in his truck, went with us to his house so that we could get water, so that we could shower because they hadn't put the water back on. You know what I mean? Like, there's people out there that are conscious of their workers and they're conscious of helping the people that need it, but that's not everybody. They're out there, though. They are, but it's not enough of them. But a rich person writing you a big fat check to help you out is a temporary solution to a permanent problem. It's like putting a Band-Aid, on a big wound. It might temporarily help, but in the long term, what's going to help is people realizing that, one, the rich people are going to have to pay a lot more, and they're going to have to offer more, or we're all going to leave. But for some reason, the people in Southwest Florida are, I say, one of the most hardworking people I've been in all over America. 28 states in the last year. And I would say the people of Newark, New Jersey, and the people of Southwest Florida have the crappiest commutes, the hardest lifestyle, the most demanding lifestyle. There's few places as demanding as living, because I go to Chicago and I see people prospering. I go to Houston, I see people prospering. But when you go to Newark, New Jersey, and you go to Southwest Florida, you just see people grind their life away, stuck in a traffic jam, work vans for miles, and at the end of the day, most of those people aren't really advancing, and if they are advancing, they're paying a huge price tag for that advancement. They're gonna price gouge you on housing. They're gonna price gouge you on everything. Why are you also gonna let them price gouge you on your own labor, your own sweat, your own work, man? See, that right there is your personal decision, and it's gonna take people in Southwest Florida waking up. And if you know somebody living in Southwest Florida in this situation, don't be embarrassed to send this video to them and say, hey man, watch this whole thing and wake up. Wake up to the reality. You can't keep letting this happen, because every 5 or 6 years is another one of these hurricanes. How long are you gonna, you know what I mean? Like, how far? There's people, I couldn't believe how many people are homeless in Southwest Florida. There's tents everywhere. I've seen tents from one corner of Southwest Florida to the other. People that are just living in tents right now. More people than you could imagine. More people than they're reporting are living in tents right now. I feel like they deserve better. I really do. I don't think they deserve that. But it's going to take one of two things. The desire to change your situation. Waking up to the reality that you can't keep working for these rich people and getting paid nothing for, collectively, not just individually. You know, and for some people to stop listening to these YouTubers who have absolutely no knowledge of anything. Everybody's an investor now. How many people put everything they had into real estate? Because every YouTuber, you have to own real estate. I own real estate, real estate, real estate. Every YouTuber, including myself, man, real estate, real estate, real estate. And I've done more for my life the moment I got rid of my real estate, and it just invested in me and my own personal happiness. And if you told me 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago that I would be happy renting and glad that I got rid of my real estate, I wouldn't believe you, because everybody, real estate, every YouTube, real estate, real estate, real estate. I just did the real estate. Now you own real estate, but guess what? It's going into foreclosure. Now you own real estate, but guess what? It's not worth anything. Now you own real estate, but guess what? It's uninhabitable. Now you own real estate, but you can't get an electrician to go to your house and fix anything. Well, guess what? I don't own real estate, but if right now my water heater broke, there's an overnight number I can call in my apartment complex. If right now anything happens here, I call the maintenance people and there'll be somebody here to fix it. But if I had real estate in Naples, I don't think I could find a plumber or an electrician to come out and fix anything. But now that I live in a complex, there's 300 houses. Now my water heater doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the big wig, the big contractor who has all the people. All I got to do is make a phone call and say, hey, come change this. And make sure that my rent's paid on time. And I'll tell you this, I've spent more money every month fixing up properties that I own than I'll ever have in rent. Because if you own property, every month you're spending $5,000-$10,000, man. Like if you own a house, you're spending $5,000-$10,000. Even if you're poor, you're spending $5,000-$10,000. Changing the cabinets, granite, floor, this, that, roof, this, that, blah, blah, blah. If you own real estate every month, don't tell me that there's not a year where you're going to spend $20,000 and that's on a small property doing stuff around the house. Dude, last year when I rented in Lehigh, my rent was like $1,000 a month, and there was months where I worked for the person that I was renting from and I didn't pay anything, or I paid half the rent. I told the landlord, hey, you need this done around the house? I'll do this for you. And now instead of I had 1 month where instead of me paying rent, the landlord paid me because I was doing stuff for them. You understand? Owning real estate is insignificant. You're better off not owning real estate and having like those comforts than to have to now manage a property or to have to repair a property after a hurricane. So owning real estate doesn't really give you that freedom you think it gives you. And for a while, I was listening to the YouTubers that were preaching that message, and let me tell you, I have been better off renting a really expensive apartment than I have. It's not easy either, but you gotta find them. You gotta make things work.